The question that I would put out for this hour, and by the way, I've got just a huge pile of other stuff I want to get to as we continue through the program. In our second hour, I'm going to be asking the question, is the world on the brink of a massive economic crash? Some very, very startling numbers out of a few other countries. I'll tell you about that. And our third hour, why are we letting the red states drag us down? But a fascinating piece over at Alternet by, see, when you print from Alternet, for some reason it doesn't, oh, it's Adele Stan. It shows up in the last page instead of the first. Anyhow, the headline is Koch's ground game and election will support Trump no matter what. And, you know, the story goes that Trump is going to receive no help from Charles and David Koch. Adele Stan says, don't believe a word of it. Trump stands to benefit from their efforts in the 2016 election cycle, even if their focus is on elections other than the presidential. It's as simple as this. If you get voters to the poll in order to vote for the House, Senate, or House candidate of your choice, chances are you'll vote for the presidential candidate who appears on the same ticket. And the Koch network's favorite candidates are, of course, all Republicans. So it's pretty straightforward stuff. But the question is, if Trump can be forced out, and for that matter, does Rule Number 9, the Republican National Committee is hereby authorized and empowered to fill any and all vacancies which may occur by reason of death, declination, or otherwise of the Republican candidate for President of the United States. Does otherwise mean that the RNC can simply say, Donald, you're fired? Seriously. Shano mentioned, hey, you know, if Donald says he's not going to participate in the debates, is that considered declination? Is that considered declining? Thank you, Shano. Is that considered declining your role as a presidential candidate? So here's the question. If Trump gets pushed off the ticket, and if my conspiracy theory is correct, the principal reason he's being pushed off the ticket is because he opposes so-called free trade deals. If he's pushed off the ticket, who will replace him? You know, Mike Pence loves the free trade deals. Mike Pence, there was a website I was reading yesterday, and unfortunately, the site had no specific links to the actual sources, so I can't validate this, and maybe the folks in the chat room can figure this out. But it said that Pence had said that the reason why he's opposed to a rape or incest provision in the, in his ban on abortions. Pence wants an absolute ban on abortions, period. Even if you've been raped. Even if you've been raped by your brother, your uncle, your father, whatever it may be. Even in the case of rape, the state will force a woman at gunpoint or put her in prison if necessary to continue her pregnancy to its end. Okay? This is Mike Pence's position. And the rationale that he gave for there not being a rape exemption was that all of a sudden women are going to start saying that they were raped in order to get abortions. Now, I can't verify that. I've read it in two different places, but, and both of them had his statements in quotes, but neither of them had links to, an original source. So, I don't know, maybe he didn't say it, but it's certainly consistent. I mean, this is the Mike Pence who forces women in Indiana who have miscarriages to have funerals. This is the Mike Pence who in Indiana, there's this whole thing, this whole hashtag, this whole trending thing about, tell Mike about your periods. Periods for Pence is the hashtag. Where women are calling the governor's office and saying, well, my flow's a little rough today. Because if a woman doesn't have her period, she might be pregnant. And the state should intervene and make sure that she carries that pregnancy to term. But anyhow, my question is, if Trump resigns, who replaces him? Will it be right-wing crazy wackadoodle, totally shilled out, totally for sale Republican politician Mike Pence, who back in 2000 took $100,000 from the tobacco industry and then started writing articles about how tobacco does not cause cancer, and is now taking money from David Koch and Koch Industries, or the Koch network, let's say, and is now saying there's no such thing as global warming? Is it Pence? Is it Paul Ryan, who also is taking money from the fossil fuel industry and denying climate change? Which one of these sold-out Republican shills will it be? Is it going to be Ted Cruz? who's, kind of basically another version of Mike Pence with, instead of Catholicism overlaying him, radical fundamentalist Taliban-style Christianity. Is it Ted Cruz? Who would be that nominee? Who would the Republican Party put forward for president? I mean, they've got to be having this debate right now inside the RNC, especially after Joe Scarborough spent half his show this morning telling the RNC, you've got to dump Trump. And literally speaking to Trump's children, trying to get them to push him off the ticket, saying, Donald Jr., Eric, who, by the way, went big game hunting and killed an elephant and killed a leopard. Have you seen these pictures around the internet? I've retweeted a couple of them. This is so disgusting. These guys, they're predators. But anyhow, Joe Scarborough was saying, Don Jr., Eric, Ivanka, you guys, you're I'm paraphrasing here from memory, but your inheritance is being squandered by your father. Stop him. Well, I think that Donald Trump would disagree. But if they could pull it off, what do they do next? And what does that mean for our republic?
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 202-808-9925.
For that matter, what does it mean for our republic that Donald Trump was the Republican Party's nominee in the first place?
To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here. And please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.